This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 20th day of March in the year 2024. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The hearing in the case brought against the government by the Ghana Teachers Union, GTU, over the alleged failure to engage in collective bargaining on financial matters commenced today, with GTU's Vice President Julian Cambridge maintaining that financial matters as proposed by the union were not discussed in the statutory meetings with the Education Ministry. From the onset of the cross-examination by State Counsel Darshan Ramdani, King Counsel, Cambridge told the courtroom of Justice Sandil Kissoon that from his knowledge the issue of the bunching and transportation allowance for educators engaged in teaching practice at the Cyril Potter College of Education CPCE and head teachers were not addressed. Ramdani submitted to the union's vice president that the issue of the bunching was addressed, but Cambridge responded in the negative. On the issue of the allowance, Cambridge told the court that the issue was raised several times with the Education Ministry during the statutory meetings, clarifying that those meetings were not part of any negotiation. But the King's Counsel not only suggested to the High Court that approximately $15.5 million in transportation allowances were paid to the two categories of educators in 2023, but that Cambridge was among the beneficiaries. In making the submission, the King Counsel relied heavily on the affidavit in defense submitted by the Chief Education Officer, Saddam Hussein. But throughout his testimony, Cambridge maintained that he did not benefit from allowances as proposed in the union's multi-year agreement for the period 2019 to 2023. It was explained that while the educators, including those engaged in teaching practice at CPCE and head teachers, would be reimbursed funds for meetings attended for which traveling was required, a fixed traveling allowance has not been embedded in their salaries, as proposed by the union. But in an attempt to support the state's contention that financial matters were not only discussed between the two sides, but in part were addressed by the government through the Education Ministry, the King Counsel turned the court's attention to an open letter to the nation's teachers by the Chief Education Officer on January 31, 2024, days before they took strike action. In that letter, which was presented to the court, the CEO pointed out that the teachers' union made a total of 41 proposals for better working conditions for teachers. According to that letter, the Education Ministry fulfilled 25 of those requests in less than 3 years. Ramdani today revised that number upward to suggest that 30 of the issues raised were addressed by the government. He noted that of the remaining requests, 2 are specifically for the benefit only of GTU and GTU executive members, and 2 are contrary to the laws of Guyana. However, Cambridge told the court that while he has taken note of the CEO's letter, he could not confirm the total number of proposals made to the Education Ministry by the union. However, he was able to confirm that some of the items listed in the 25 items reportedly acted upon did not emanate from the multi-year agreement proposed by the union. In search of more answers, the King Counsel grilled Cambridge on each of the items reportedly acted upon by the government in an attempt to determine whether there were financial or non-financial benefits for teachers. As he responded to the series of questions posed by the King Counsel, Cambridge told the court that while teachers received salary increases in 2021, 2022, and 2023, those increases were imposed on public servants and did not form part of any collective bargaining agreement between the union and the Education Ministry. Further, Cambridge disagreed with Ramdani's contention that duty-free concessions, scholarships, issuance of promotional points to teachers, and time off given to executive members of the union were financial matters. He, however, agreed that allowances, including transportation allowance and a housing fund for teachers, among others, were financial matters. Before taking his leave, Cambridge told the court that he stands by his affidavit that there was no movement to engage in collective bargaining by the Education Ministry and by the government. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Holiday spending put a dent in your cash. Top up your pockets in the Cash Splash promotion. Win over $5 million, including over $1 million in our weekly draws. Just purchase any Buster, Turbo, Fruita, Cool Kids or Viva. Look for the 8-digit code starting with 786. Then visit Facebook or IG at Buster Guyana or Turbo_Caribbean for more details.
In our search for sophistication and grace, the Super Stylistics team invites you to be part of something extraordinary. Mothers and daughters who possess aura and presence that transcend through time. Step forward and become part of the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024. Join our legacy as we redefine elegance for generations to come. The search for the epitome of timeless love begins now. Call 226-2825 or 626-0460 to secure your spot in the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024.
President Irfaan Ali has rushed to the defense of his Vice President Barry Jagdeo in wake of questions from the United Nations Human Rights Committee about the absence of an investigation into corruption allegations that were leveled against the Vice President. The president is accusing opposition operatives of furnishing the UN human rights body of propaganda. In a statement to E-Network's newsroom, President Ali was quoted as saying the UN committee member who asked the questions pertaining to corruption was obviously fed with the propaganda of the opposition operatives, adding that the questions followed a line of the opposition in trying to paint the government in a negative light. Governance Minister Gail Teixeira, who has been facing the questions by the UN Human Rights Committee as part of its period review of Guyana, indicated to the committee that although the allegations against the Vice President were made in a Vice News report, there was never any complaint filed to the police by Vice News or anyone else pertaining to the corruption allegations. She also reminded that the Vice President had repeatedly denied the allegations. The opposition, in a statement of its own following the first day of the UN Human Rights Committee review, reminded that it had filed a motion in the National Assembly calling for a full probe of the allegations against the Vice President, but that motion was blocked by the Speaker. President Ali, in his statement to Newsroom, said the reference to corruption was not based on any evidence or facts. He said he believes the member of the committee who raised the issue found himself in a trap that the opposition has historically used against the PPP government. The members of the UN Human Rights Committee have repeatedly stated that their questions are based on credible information that is checked and verified. The committee also raised concerns about allegations of corruption within the Ghana Police Force and the local judiciary, and queried about whether an investigation was ever done into allegations that were leveled against the former permanent secretary of the Home Affairs Ministry, who had her visa revoked and was not allowed entry to the U.S. while on a trip. Two Venezuelan nationals and a Guyanese man were charged and remanded today over the murder of Chinese supermarket owner Lai Zong Yang. Yang was murdered in his Ettering Bang Landing supermarket on the 14th of March during a robbery. Two of the accused were arrested at the scene of the robbery and murder, while the third was arrested within hours of the crime. Appearing in court today, Venezuelan national Darvi Diaz de Costa and Oscar Scanio and Guyanese Farrell Prince Adelph were not required to enter a plea to the indictable murder charge when they appeared before Magistrate Faith Magusti at the Georgetown Magistrates Court. After listening to the charge filed against the men and informing them of the charge, the magistrate remanded all three accused to jail until the 24th of April, when the matter will return to court. The three are accused of attacking the Chinese supermarket owned by Yang last Thursday afternoon while demanding money and valuables. During the robbery, the man was brutally beaten and his neck slashed. His wife was also beaten, but she survived her injuries. The community of Ettering Bang borders Venezuela, and there have been growing concerns about the high number of Venezuelan migrants who have been traveling over to the community, which also serves as a military base for the Guyana Defense Force.
Mobile Delvac heavy-duty lubricants. With more than 90 years of experience and innovation, Mobile Delvac is a recognized leader in advanced heavy-duty lubricants. Discover how the state-of-the-art Mobile Delvac technology can help protect and extend the life of your diesel engines. Mobile Delvac, the trusted brand for many successful businesses. Protect your fleet and keep your vehicles on the road and out of the shop. Helped by Mobile Motor Oils. Distributed by Sol Guyana Inc.
At the most critical life-changing moments, the National Insurance Scheme is here to ensure that your needs are covered. Access reimbursement for medical expenses for various aspects of your medical care. We know that eye care is of utmost importance. Receive assistance with our Spectacle Care voucher. Visiting the dentist? Dental care is also covered under our sickness benefit services. Offset the funeral expenses of a loved one with costs covered by our funeral benefits. National Insurance Scheme. We're there every step of the way.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land
is not just about ownership.
It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
A 19-year-old man and a 16-year-old boy have been arrested by the police for the Saturday night robbery of a 15-year-old girl as she entered her yard at Bel Air Village. The entire incident was caught on surveillance camera. The 19-year-old suspect has been identified as Neil Lynch of Curtis Street, All Boys Town. The name of the 16-year-old suspect has been withheld since he's a juvenile. Lynch was arrested on Tuesday afternoon by police in the Independence Boulevard area in Georgetown. The police said he was interviewed and admitted to being involved in the robbery. He also provided the names of the other suspects, according to the police. Investigators claim that the young man told them that while he did not consent to the robbery, he collected $10,000 from the proceeds of the crime. The police said, based on information provided, they arrested the 16-year-old suspect in All Boys Town. The homes of the two suspects were found, but nothing of evidential value was found at the properties, the police said. Efforts are ongoing to arrest the other 4 suspects. In a video recording of the incident, the young girl could be seen exiting a car and entering her yard when the 3 motorcycles pull up with 2 persons on each. 2 of them advanced towards the car, which sped off from the scene, while 2 others advanced into the yard with the girl. One of them could be seen slapping the girl and shoving her to the ground before relieving her of her belongings. The matter remains under probe. The Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, has ruled that former New Building Society NBS Chief Executive Officer Maurice Arjun is entitled to his full pension from the institution, bringing an end to a decade-long court battle. In August 2007, Arjun was terminated from the company on the grounds of serious misconduct. In dismissing Arjun, NBS at the time claimed that fraud was committed in 2006, with nearly $70 million withdrawn from a client's account. The revelation led to the dismissal of Arjun and a number of other top officers at NBS. The criminal cases against Arjun and his co-accused were all dismissed. Arjun had sued the NBS for some $550 million in damages on the grounds that he had been wrongfully dismissed from his post and that his former employer had withheld pension and other benefits due to him. The High Court had awarded $79 million in owed benefits to Arjun. On appeal, the Court of Appeal agreed with the trial judge's finding that the appellant had been wrongfully dismissed. The court, however, reversed the trial judge's award of full pension benefits to Arjun. The Court of Appeal was of the view that, having regard to the fact that Arjun's employment had ceased, no further pension contribution or pension rights are in place. Yesterday, the CCJ explained its decision to award the former CEO his full pension payment. The judges agreed that Arjun was wrongfully dismissed and that he's entitled to full pension benefits as ordered by the High Court. However, on the question of Arjun's entitlement to severance payment, the court, in a 3-2 decision, found that he's not entitled to severance but will get his full pension. While Arjun was dismissed on the grounds of serious misconduct, the CCJ stated that it was never alleged by NBS in the proceedings that Arjun was complicit in the withdrawal of funds from the client's account, and both lower courts were clear that he was not to be faulted simply because he bore ultimate management responsibility for the deficiencies in the system, of which the directors were aware, that allowed the fraud to be perpetrated, if indeed there was fraud. The Joint Ministerial Committee of Suriname and Guyana met on Tuesday in Paramaribo to further work out the financing modalities for the construction of the Quarantine River Bridge. The meeting was held as part of the ongoing process to pursue the bridge across the Quarantine River, which will easily connect Guyana to Suriname. The process was initiated in November 2020 by Suriname's President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi and Guyana's President Irfan Ali. Guyana's delegation was led by Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh, Works Minister Juan Ejil, and Permanent Secretary in the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Ambassador Elizabeth Harper, while the Suriname's delegation was led by Albert Ramdin, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Business and International Cooperation, and included the Minister of Finance and Planning, as well as the Minister of Public Works. A joint statement released by the Ministry of Public Works stated that both sides reiterated the importance of a fixed connection between the two countries, not only to advance economic opportunities and to connect the road network between Guyana and Suriname, and ultimately enhance hemispheric connectivity with Brazil and the rest of South America continent, but also to facilitate people-to-people contact. In this regard, the ministry said both sides restated their commitment to the timely construction of the bridge. In the statement, the ministry said a number of specific recommendations regarding construction, financing, and management emanating from the ministerial meeting set out a clear time-bound framework to take the initiative to the next level. It said following those decisions, it is anticipated that the construction could commence before the end of 2024. The recommendations from yesterday's meetings are expected to be submitted to the presidents of Suriname and Guyana for further consideration and decision at their anticipated meeting this weekend in Guyana. While 5 companies were pre-qualified, only 2 had submitted bids to build the bridge. Balas Netham, a company headquartered in the Netherlands, is competing against the Chinese company China Roads and Bridges for the contract.
In our search for sophistication and grace, the Super Stylistics team invites you to be part of something extraordinary. Mothers and daughters who possess aura and presence that transcend through time. Step forward and become part of the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024. Join our legacy as we redefine elegance for generations to come. The search for the epitome of timeless love begins now. Call 226-2825 or 626-0460 to secure your spot in the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyoil's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyoil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Holiday spending put a dent in your cash. Top up your pockets in the Cash Splash promotion. Win over $5 million, including over $1 million in our weekly draws. Just purchase any Buster, Turbo, Fruita, Cool Kids, or Viva. Look for the 8-digit code starting with 786. Then visit Facebook or IG at Buster Guyana or Turbo_Caribbean for more details.
And now for your regional and international news. In the region, Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has expressed concern that citizens are turning a blind eye to the criminal element in the country and alluded to the possibility that the recent Strategic Services Agency SSA shakeup was as a result of it being overrun by the criminal element. According to Trinidad Guardian, the Prime Minister made a reference on Tuesday as he spoke about the rising crime surge in the country during the sod-turning ceremony for a housing development in Tunapuna. 2 weeks ago, SSA Director Major Roger Best was sent on administrative leave, and Rowley recalled U.S. Ambassador Anthony Philip Spencer from Washington to act in the post. Philip Spencer is currently probing matters within the SSA, which Rowley had said were of national security concern to the government. The Prime Minister also took citizens who support and encourage criminals to task, saying it was unacceptable for law-abiding citizens to remain quiet when they know those who use illegal weapons to commit crimes. The Prime Minister said up until recently, most of the criminals only had access to handguns which they could conceal. But now, most of the killings are done by people with assault weapons, which are hard to transport or operate without members seeing something. Rowley said many of the criminals live in households, and those who may know about their activities are all part of the problem and encouraging it. Venezuela's Attorney General Tariq Saab said on Wednesday 2 people close to opposition candidate Maria Corina Machado have been arrested, and 7 others, including Machado's right hand, Magali Mida, have warrants out for their detention. According to Reuters, the arrests are set to complicate an already confused scenario ahead of the July presidential contest, because though Machado won an October primary by a landslide, she is barred from registering her candidacy. Opposition parties have been pressuring Machado to name a substitute who can register before March 25 deadline, and Mida had been one of the people floated as a possible alternate. And finally tonight, international news. Leo Varadkar said on Wednesday he would step down as Ireland's Prime Minister in a surprise move, saying the country's coalition government would stand a better chance of re-election under another leader. According to Reuters, Varadkar said he had asked his party to elect a new leader ahead of its annual conference on April 6. Parliament would then vote on that person succeeding him as Prime Minister after it returns from the Easter break on April 9. The shock departure of Varadkar, who became the first gay prime minister of the once staunchly Catholic country in 2017 and returned to the premiership just 50 months ago, does not trigger a general election. A vote must be held by March 2025. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.